There's one regular enemy in Sekiro that I genuinely think should have been a mini-boss, and it might not be who you'd expect. Sekiro has some of the best mini-bosses in gaming, but there's also a handful of regular enemies that honestly feel like they should have been promoted. Whether it's their moveset, difficulty, or just how unique they are, these enemies had all the ingredients to become memorable mini-bosses. So here are 6 underrated enemies that I think should have been mini-bosses in Sekiro. Let's start with the Taro Bell Giant. Most players probably remember these enemies because of the huge size and the giant bell that they carry around. They're slow, but they hit punish players who get greedy. What makes them stand out is that they're already visually unique compared to most normal enemies in the game. They're massive, intimidating. If you imagine finding one of these guarding a hidden area or a valuable item with a few extra attacks added in, I think it would have made a pretty solid mini-boss encounter. The Okami Warriors in the Fountainhead Palace are some of the coolest enemies in the game. The spear and sword variant in particular feels like it was only a few steps away from becoming a mini-boss. Not only do they have long-range spear attacks, but they also use lightning. This immediately makes them stand out from most regular enemies. They're aggressive, mobile, and can catch players off guard if they're not paying attention. The combination of spear attacks and lightning mechanics already gives them more personality than a lot of standard enemies in the game. A named Okami Warrior with a larger health pool and a couple of extra attacks would have fit perfectly into the Fountainhead Palace. But somehow, only Okami leader Ronaldo made the cut. The Nightjar Ninjas are probably some of the most recognisable enemies in Sekiro. Whether it's the regular version, the fire variant, or the apparition version, these enemies always force you to stay alert. They're very quick, unpredictable, and constantly jumping around the battlefield. Their spinning attacks, aerial movement, and ability to create distance make them feel very different from the soldiers and samurai that you fight throughout most of the game. What's interesting is that they already feel like they're halfway between a regular enemy and a mini-boss. A stronger Nightjar leader with a few new attacks and a unique arena could have been a really memorable encounter. Towards the end of the game, the Interior Ministry invades Ashina, and suddenly these dual-wielding red guard enemies start showing up. And honestly, these guys are far more dangerous than a lot of players give them credit for. There's 2 versions of them. One fights at a slower pace, while the other attacks incredibly fast and can overwhelm you if you're not ready. Their pressure is relentless, and they have long combos that can build posture damage quickly. What I like about them is that they feel like elite soldiers rather than standard enemies. A named commander version of this enemy with a slightly expanded moveset would have made for a fantastic mini-boss during the invasion of Ashina. Now we're getting into enemies that genuinely surprise players the first time they encounter them. The Spear Adepts are found at the Senpou Temple, and they are absolutely brutal the first time you encounter them. They're fast, aggressive, and constantly pressure the player with long-reaching attacks. What makes them so dangerous is their unpredictability. They leap around, attack from unusual angles, and can quickly punish mistakes. For many players, the first Spear Adept that they encounter can become an unexpected roadblock, until they realise it's just a normal enemy and you can just skip him. The skill level required to consistently defeat them is far higher than most regular enemies in the game. Honestly, they already feel like mini-bosses. They have the moveset, the challenge, and the presence. All they really needed was a name and a second death blow marker. If I had to choose one regular enemy that deserved mini-boss status more than any other, it would have to be the Elder Monkey. The Elder Monkey, found near the Guardian Ape area, is known for giving players trouble. Unlike the smaller monkeys you fought earlier in the game, this one is aggressive, durable, and hits surprisingly hard. Its movements can be awkward to read, and some of its attacks have strange timings that can catch players off guard. For a lot of players, this enemy ends up being harder than several actual mini-bosses. The fact that it's hidden away almost makes it feel like FromSoftware was testing out a mini-boss concept and then just decided not to go all the way with it. Honestly, this little guy feels like he had potential to be harder than the Guardian Ape. It already has its own little arena with the poison area, as well as its little minions with the other brown monkeys. All it now needs is a second health bar and maybe 1 or 2 new attacks. I think it then could have been an excellent mini-boss choice. So those are my picks for 6 underrated enemies that should have been mini-bosses in Sekiro. Let me know which enemies you think deserved a promotion, and if there's one I've missed, let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.